Welcome to Shaun Show. My name is Shaun. Remember to like, share, and subscribe. Does a lot here for the channel. Gets the word out. Everybody talks about the show and all that's going on. Now listen, before I get into today's topic, you saw what it was before you clicked on it. Before I get into it, I want to make sure that I give a very clear disclaimer. The last time I did a show like this, and I was very critical of Chris Jericho and AEW, a lot of people in the comments were like, well, Chris Jericho's the greatest wrestler of all time. He's you know, the king of the world. And listen, I'm not dissing the man. I'm not dissing anybody when it comes to doing this sport of professional wrestling, because professional wrestling is a very hard and physically taxing business. In the pandemic, I guess the only good thing that you could say is that the wrestlers were going to one centralized state, and rather than going, you know, from place to place to place to place to place. So that was very easy on them as, you know, talent, because, you know, they literally were like 3 or 4 different states in like a week. So it's very crazy. But anyway, this is the disclaimer. The disclaimer is I'm going to be very critical about AEW, okay? I'm going to say some things that you may not like. I may have to turn this light, the studio light off. Hold on. It's high tech. You see how it's high tech because it's dimming? Okay, yeah, because it's summertime and this. Anyway. But back to what I was saying, I'm going to be very critical about AEW. I'm going to be very critical about the things that they're doing, not doing. And if you are afraid of the truth, if you don't want to listen to anything that I have to say and come with a subjective mind state as to what I'm talking about, and maybe it's a possibility what I'm saying is right, then don't watch this video. Again, I answer every single comment down below, and I love talking to you guys. But like somebody is saying it's great and you just you're misinformed, or you're not watching the program or something. Listen. And again, I don't want to take up too much time on this. I just want to make this clear, right? Before we get into it, and trust me, we are going to get into it. I just want you guys to know that I'm going to be real and raw when it comes to AEW. Now, disclaimers out of the way. So this is my problem. Okay, so it's a lot to unwrap, so I'm gonna kind of do rapid fire here. So let's talk about this whole AEW TBS thing, right? Now, originally, when this whole NHL deal was announced, everyone who watches NHL, they kind of knew the primary night that the NHL would be on television, which I'm guessing is Wednesday. I don't watch hockey, so I couldn't really tell you what night that is, but it seems like the night is Wednesday. Wednesday's the night of the NHL. So I don't have a problem with my camera with NHL. So with Wednesday being the night of the NHL, when that whole deal was announced that the NHL was going to TNT, it basically created a kind of a understanding amongst those who watch hockey and AEW that AEW wasn't going to stay on Wednesday night. Now, on TNT. Now, Tony Khan comes out and he says, look, we have a contract, everything is in place, you know, it would have to be a very good, lucrative deal for us to move, and it is what it is. That's kind of how he laid it out. Now, when this happened, when I talked amongst my homeboys, and I told them, I said, listen, the way the business works is like, if this is on YouTube, right? This is on YouTube's platform. If I'm having a conversation about my show, the Shaun Show, and I'm sorry to keep moving the camera on you guys, I'm just trying to get this straight. If I'm having a conversation with you guys about the Shaun Show, and I say this is what I want to do with the Shaun Show, and I'm gonna start doing shows on this day and this day and this day. And YouTube, who is the owner of this platform, they tell me, listen, Shaun, you can't do that. We're not going to allow you to not only show shows on YouTube anymore, but we're not going to allow you to speak about the shows that you have on YouTube. We are shutting you down. Now, regardless of the agreement that I have with YouTube, because everyone that does YouTube videos, everyone that's in the partnership program, they have an agreement with them. You're partners with them, right? Regardless of whatever partnership I have with them, they are the dominant party. In boxing, that's what they call the A side. The A side, for example, is Floyd Mayweather. The B side is Logan Paul. Logan Paul is coming into a boxing fight, and Floyd names everything. Names the gloves, names the arena. His name is first on the poster. He gets the higher money. They're the A side. YouTube is the A side when it comes to doing anything that has to do with my show or anybody that has a show on here. So if YouTube decides to say, hey, we're not fooling with y'all no more, then there's nothing I can say. I can be upset about it. I can write a message on social media about it, but there's nothing I can do about it, even though I have a quote unquote contract. Now, that is exactly what Tony Khan said that he had. He had a contract with TNT, and he said that that contract that he has with TNT is very, very good. It's for a number of years, and it would have to be something that's beneficial to AEW. That's what Tony Khan said. So time progresses, and then he announces all at one time that, hey, we're going to TBS. And we're having a show called Rampage. And it's going to be better for us. Okay, pause. Eric Bischoff's out here saying it's great. He said it's a lateral movement. The fans will follow. And that, listen, that he's 100% correct on that in terms of it being a lateral movement from one network to the other network, and fans will follow. But the whole big deal of being on TNT is TNT was mainstream. You were able to have crossover appeal with inside the NBA. You had Shaq on your program. You were able to air, during NBA games. And they were saying, watch TNT and watch AEW during the NBA playoffs. Your advertisements have been running. Like, that was the whole benefit of being on TNT, is that it was a mainstream network. When they got on TNT and they announced it, everybody was like, oh my goodness. Okay, well, they're big major players, because if they're on TNT, then that means this is similar to what WCW was. WCW competed when they were on TNT, and the WWE was on the USA Network. So this is a big deal. So to have that taken away from you and to go to TBS, which, raise your hand if you guys watch TBS frequently. Raise your hand if you know what's on TBS. Raise your hand if you knew TBS existed. Now, I think baseball is like the home over there for some stuff. But if you don't watch baseball, or if you do watch baseball outside, it's kind of like with TNT. I only watch TNT for basketball. And if AEW comes on and it's, I want to watch it, I watch it. But outside of that, I'm not tuning in and knowing what their series are. And with TBS, I don't even know what their, I guess the big thing that they had at the time was Conan O'Brien late night, and he's retiring. So I don't know, because TBS for a while, years ago, they were pushing that they were like the funny station, and they were pushing all these reruns of old comedies and stuff like that, and Conan O'Brien, and this is where you come to laugh and all that. I don't know what their marketing is anymore. TBS is a major shot down. Eric Bischoff said in his book that the death sentence for WCW in his eyes was when they had WCW Thunder on TBS. Why is that? Well, he said that it was a lot to do within a week, right? But he also stated that TBS was not as popular as TNT. You're trying to train people to watch TBS. I remember they would have Clash of the Champions way back in the 90s, specials on TBS, but that was way back then. You know, TBS is very, and I'm not here to just pile on TBS. I'm just, the whole point that I'm trying to make is that TNT was a much more viable branding in terms of getting AEW's name out there to fans who may not necessarily watch wrestling or may not necessarily know what AEW is. There was a thing a while back where they got a hold of Chris Jericho. Some fan was watching TNT and they looked at Chris Jericho. I remember it was all over the internet. It was like, man, he's in horrible shape. I haven't seen this guy in years. How did that happen? Because they were on TNT. You have a belt named the TNT Championship that is defended every single week. This is why you don't name titles after television channels unless you own the television channel. So it's all bad with that, and it's a bait and switch thing. You're trying to make this a PR move. You're trying to put this in a position where you look good. You're trying to put this in a position where not only do you look good, but you're making it seem as if you got paid all the way. Well, we got a lot of money for making that move. You had no choice. They said, we're moving you to TBS. Now, there were probably other little factors that they said, hey, we'll give you some television specials, which, I don't know how that's going to work, but they said they want to give some television specials on TNT. You're going to ask yourself, why are you doing television specials on TNT? Oh, I don't know, because TNT is a flagship channel. That's why. It's like you're being promoted when you have a special on TNT. Otherwise, you would have the specials on TBS. It's not good. You're trying to swing this to make it seem as if this is a good thing, and it's not a good thing. If you get bad ratings on TBS, do you think that they're going to keep you on TBS? Because if you were getting great ratings on TNT to the point where they said, man, we got to keep these guys, then regardless if hockey was on, they would say that we would have to figure something out to keep you here on TNT. If that means moving you to a different night, we want the rating on this station. But they don't, do you understand that hockey will be on TNT and AEW will be on TBS? So TNT will be competing with TBS at the same time with the hockey program against their flagship, or not flagship, but their sister company, TBS. They'll be going head to head. Do you understand that? Like, what is the benefit of this? There is none. And they're trying to make you feel like there is one. It's not good. The other thing that I want to quickly talk about, let's take a breather. Jim Ross. Now, Jim Ross has stated that he feels that Randy Orton has been the best wrestler. Chris Jericho came out and, oh my goodness, Kenny Omega's the greatest, and I'm telling you it's the greatest because I've been in the ring with him. Oh, okay. Yeah, that because you've been in the ring with him, he's the greatest, and that's the end of discussion in terms of what's going on right now. Kenny Omega has not done anything to push the envelope or to bring ratings in for Impact or AEW. He's done nothing. This title reign and this clique thing that they're trying to establish, or Bullet Club, I'm just calling it the clique because it's basically trying to do the same thing. This Bullet Club thing that you're trying to recreate is not working. You literally have Impact that does not have any stars. You're having Kenny Omega defend the Impact Championship against someone that's supposed to be a heel and someone that's contract is up because there's no stars on Impact. You're then having him in a triple threat match on a pay-per-view that you have to pay for against Pac and Orange Cassidy. This pay-per-view, and if you're a fan of AEW or not, you gotta agree with me when I say this. This is the weakest pay-per-view that they have produced, that they put out. This is not must-see. There's nothing on there that makes me go, oh, I gotta pay money to see this. If I'm a fan of the program, yes. But this is their first card where I'm like, ooh, yeah, I don't know if I want to shell out that money to see that. Oof, I don't know about that. So because there's nothing that's been done for Impact, because there's nothing interesting that's been going, which I don't know why Kenny Omega's not feuding with Christian. They literally put Christian in the Casino Battle Royal. They literally did that, right? They literally, Paul White, where is he? Like, we touted all these people, and then you're gonna put him in a Battle Royal, Christian in a Battle Royal? Like, not even a meaningful program? Why? Don't you think if Christian was in the WWE right now with them needing star power, don't you think that he would be utilized better than how he's being utilized in AEW right now? Don't you see if Christian was, I don't know, around and was on Raw? Because Raw needs that star power and was in a feud with Sheamus? Or maybe feuding with Bobby Lashley because they need a new big face to face him, because this Drew McIntyre thing is played out. I mean, beyond played out. Like, don't you think that he would be used right now rather than in the Casino Battle Royal? I'm just saying. But my whole point is this. Jim Ross is entitled to his opinion. Just because I'm not towing the company line doesn't mean that I'm not going to give you the real. And I appreciate him giving the real and standing on his own 2 feet, 10 toes down, telling people, I believe Orton has been the best. AEW right now, there's been a lot going on, but there's been no forward progress. Everyone's going to argue that the NBA playoffs have been, causing the ratings to go down. Now, mind you, AEW is on the station that airs the NBA playoffs, which should theoretically help advertise when AEW comes on, but that's not the reality here. That's not the reality here. That's not the truth here. No one's talking about that. AEW and then I'm going to end it because we could be here all night. And I appreciate, if you made it this far, I appreciate you making it this far. And if you made it this far, give a comment down below. Give like a thumbs up. I don't know if I'm gonna give anything away. Maybe I will. I don't know. Just give a thumbs up. Let's try this. I just want to see who's made it this far to the end of the video. So give a big thumbs up in the comments. Big thumb up. And I'll just see. Maybe you get some. I don't know. If there's a lot of people, then I'll possibly do it. But back to what I was saying. As far as AEW, it's a lot going on that has not been good press. Guys are getting hurt. There's a Twitter page called AEW Botches. If I'm getting it wrong, I'm sorry, but I'm sure you can see it. They had a long list of injuries of these guys from AEW that are out and hurt, and it was a long list. It was in a year. They showed like the botches like on AEW Dark, and then you're going to be adding another show. You're adding within, what is it, 2 years? You're adding 2 shows. So it's well, not 2 shows, but you have AEW Dark and you're adding Rampage. So you have 3 shows all together, but you still have not figured out how to do TV right for your main show. Oh, and your main show is moving to a different network. It's not looking good, guys. It's not looking good. There's been rumors of there being problems of the executive vice presidents about the direction of the company, of how things should air or how things should go. One, I guess, wants more of an indie style. Another wants more of a traditional style. Jericho says that they have training on promos before shows now. Jade, I think her name is Cargill. If I'm pronouncing it wrong, I'm so sorry, because she's beautiful, beautiful black woman. She was talking about how they have, training for the women wrestlers. Oh my God, like a few days, like throughout the week, and it's like these women are still training, but you're putting them on TV. I don't get it. Like, she's training and she said that she wanted to do a moonsault off the top rope, and they haven't trained her to do that yet. I mean, come on, man. Like, it's not looking good. I don't know what can turn it around, because you've signed big names. You have a good solid roster. There's nothing that you can do to fix this unless you decide that you have to bring somebody in like a Vince Russo or even an Eric Bischoff to try to stabilize the way that you do TV, because you just don't know how to do TV. You just don't know. Like, the matches could be great matches, but I may miss it because last week sucked, or the week before that sucked, or I was doing something the week before that and I forgot that AEW was on, but I decided to catch a movie because it sucked. You gotta do something different. This has been the Shaun Show, guys. I'll see you next time. Like, share, subscribe. Peace.